So today I'm going to take a look inside the hive of the swarm that I caught last week in the parking lot at Autonomy. It's been 7 days since I brought them home, and that's usually enough time that if a beekeeper disturbs a swarm that they'll tolerate it and stay. Usually you don't want to disturb them in less than 7 days or they could decide to leave, but after 7 days they've had time to build comb and the queen lay eggs and they've had time to collect pollen and make honey. So they're a little bit more invested in the hive at this point. So I can go in and open them up and they'll tolerate it and hopefully will not leave. There are 8 frames and 7 of the frames look like this. They're empty. And 1 frame looked like this. This is comb already built on the frame that I stole from one of my other hives. And the reason I gave them 1 frame that looked like this was just basically to give them an incentive to stay in the hive box and to hopefully give them a head start. They may decide that they use that frame of comb or they may decide not to. Comb is used by the bees to raise their young. They'll put their brood in the comb, and they also use it as their pantry. They use it to store pollen and store honey. So we'll side of the hive box, and this is their entrance. And you can see there's bees coming and going. From the outside, everything looks good. They look like they're busy. We have lots of flowers on our property in Lakeside, a lot of wildflowers, so there's plenty here to keep them busy, plenty of forage for them to collect pollen and nectar to make honey. And so I'm just going to give them a couple of puffs of smoke at the entrance. And the smoke does help keep them calm. And there are a couple of theories on why smoke works, but I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm not going to get into that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm actually surprised to see this. They have actually built comb onto the lid of the box, which means when I transported them from the Autonomy parking lot to Lakeside, the frame shifted and created this wide open spot in the box, and they took advantage of that to build comb. So I'm gonna have to remove this comb and strap it into a frame. Brand new comb that was built by the bees that I collected from the Autonomy parking lot, and I don't know if you can see the colored spots in the comb. That is pollen. So they've been collecting pollen and storing it in this comb. Okay, so I've taken the comb that they built from the roof of the hive and I strapped it in to the frame using rubber bands. It is so sunny out here, I really can't see if this is even in the camera because I can't see anything through this. But over time, the bees will continue to expand that comb and they'll fill out the whole frame, and they'll chew through the rubber bands, and one day I'll find the rubber bands outside on the ground where they will just decide that they're done with them and they'll drag them out of the hive. Now I'm going to pull up the frame of comb that I had previously given them, and we'll see what they're doing with it. The frame that I'd given them, you can see, is completely covered in bees. Hopefully that's showing up on the camera. I was able to clear a few of the bees out of the way to take a closer look to see what they're using this for. And it looks like they're mostly using it to store nectar, so this is going to be turned eventually into a honey frame. Right now it's all uncapped honey, so it's honey that's basically in process. They're still working on it. Box that looks like they've already built comb on, so I'm going to pull it out next and see if we can find the queen or some evidence that she's in the hive, like some laid eggs. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys inside. If you can see in between these 2 frames, you'll see strings of bees. They're kind of like holding on to each other. I don't know if this is showing up in the video, but that activity that they're doing is called, or that behavior is called festooning. And that's what bees do when they are building comb. So these bees are busy building comb and they kind of latch onto each other and they excrete bits of wax from their bodies and mold it and frame it into the comb. So these are busy festooning bees. I'm gonna have to pull them apart though to get the frame out. And I haven't seen the queen yet, but I do see inside this comb eggs. I don't think they're gonna show up on the video, but if you could look closely inside these cells, you'll see little tiny eggs. They look like itty bitty tiny bits of rice. And what that tells me is that we do have a queen in this colony and she is laying eggs, which is very good news. Now, every day, the number of bees in this hive is going to continue to decrease, at least for the first 3 weeks, because that's how long it takes for eggs to turn into bees. So 3 weeks from the time that I collected them, they should start having new bees emerge. Until then, every day bees are dying, but they'll soon have new bees, new sisters joining them. I've looked at the rest of the frames. They've been building on 4 of them, and the last 3 over here are empty. So they still have room to grow. So I'm gonna put these other frames back in the box, close them all up, and then I'll check on them again in a couple of weeks. And by then I expect that most of this box will be filled, and it'll be time for me to add on the second box to give them room to grow. I did not see the queen, unfortunately. I was really hoping to see her, but in absence of seeing the queen, the next best thing is to see eggs, which means that I had a queen in here at least within the last 3 days, because that's how long it takes eggs to turn into larvae. So I do see eggs, which is good. In a couple of weeks, we should see maybe some capped brood or some larvae.